Hey folks, it's that time again, and today we're going to break down two more of the character classes from the 2024 Player's Handbook. And today on Dragons and Dice, we're breaking down those two skill monkeys, the new 24 Monk and the new 24 Rogue. Welcome to Dragons and Dice. Okay, so if you're a panda that does Kung Fu, or if you're a human who likes to land a punch or two, this is going to be the class you want. We're starting with the Monk. And at level 1, you get your martial arts. And it starts off as a D6 die, and that's an upgrade right off the bat, as it used to be a D4. And you also get your unarmored defense, and that's going to let you add your dexterity and wisdom to your armor class if you're not wearing armor. At level 2, you're going to get your Monk's Focus points, and these are what used to be key points. They've changed the name of that, and you'll start off with 2 of these, and you'll get 1 more each time you level up, so your number of focus points is always going to be equal to your level of Monk. You also get unarmored movement, and if you don't have armor on, you get plus 10 movement speed, and that's going to go up as you level up also. And then you get a new feature here called Uncanny Metabolism, and this ability is going to let you regain all expended focus points. When you do so, you can also roll your martial arts die and regain HP equal to that roll plus your monk level, which would be a D6 plus 2 at this point right now. And you can do this once per long rest. And you also get your bread and butter moves for the monk class here. And you'll get to spend your focus points starting out to do one of 3 things. The first is Fury of Blows. You can spend a point, and as a bonus action, you can make 2 unarmed strikes instead of 1. The other is Patient Defense. You can take the Disengage action as a bonus, or you can spend a focus point and take both the Disengage and the Dodge action now. It used to cost a key point, and you just got to Dodge as a bonus, so this is a really nice upgrade getting to Disengage and Dodge. And the third ability you get is Step of the Wind. You can take the Dash action as a bonus, or you can spend a focus point and take both Disengage and Dax action. And as a bonus, your jump distance is doubled here. It's almost cunning action, but it has to cost you a little bit of resources, so it's not stepping on the rogue's feet too much, but you do get to do a lot of things with your bonus actions right off the rip, starting out as a monk. Level 3, you're going to get your subclasses, and we'll go over those individually. But also at level 3 as a monk, you get Deflect attacks, and this is the second big upgrade to the new monk class. This used to be Deflect missiles, and it could only be used on ranged attacks. Now when an attack hits, and it includes this bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, you can use your reaction and reduce that attack by 1d10 plus your dex mod plus your monk level. If you do this and the ability reduces the damage to 0, you can then spend a focus point to redirect the attack. If it was a melee, you can pick another creature that's within 5 feet of you, and if it was ranged, you can redirect that attack toward it with a creature that's within 60 feet of you and isn't behind full cover. That is one caveat to that. Make a dex save, and on a fail, it will take 2 rolls of your martial arts die plus your dex mod, and the damage is the same as the attack that was redirected, so if you redirect slashing, the attack you redirect will also be slashing. Level 2, you're going to have like a plus 3 dex mod starting off, and your second level, you're going to get 5 plus a d10 in damage reduction on everything that hits you, with an opportunity to spend points and deal that damage back out to other people. All the changes they've made to this class and to that ability in particular. Monks now, if you're 2-weapon fighting, you could start a turn, come in, attack, use the Nick action if you've got that weapon mastery on your short sword, make a second attack with that action, Fury of Blows for 2 more attacks, and then if you get the chance to use a reaction, you could possibly deal out another 2d6 if you can negate that entire amount of damage. So that would be 4 attacks plus 2d6 at level 3, and you've totally nullified an attack during that. It's going to be very strong early game. We'll see how it scales as we go on through the abilities. 4 will be your first feat or stat point increase, and then you also get the slow fall that monks all get. It's the same as it used to be. You can reduce fall damage by 5 times your monk level. So at this level, you would get to take 20 fall damage off of everything that you jumped off of, and it's time to start jumping off the roofs of buildings, doing cool stuff. At level 5, you're going to get an extra attack, which is always great, and your martial arts die is going to go up to D8. And then you're going to get your stunning strike. And this also got an upgrade. You still burn a focus point and attempt to stun the target until the start of your next turn. And this used to be till the end of your next turn, so slight change there. But they did add in that if you do miss with the stunning strike, the target speed is now halved. So you don't end up wasting that focus point. You either get the stun or you get to slow them by half speed. So you still get a little bit of benefit for it. At level 6, monks get empowered strikes, and now your attacks can be force damage if you so choose. This used to just count your strikes as magical, so there's a slight change there. And also at this level, your unarmored movement goes up by 15 feet. Level 7, you get the evasion feature, and it's the same as it was, and it's always great. When you make a dex save and you pass, you take no damage instead of half, and on a fail, you only take half damage. Level 8 will be your next feat or stat point increase. And then at level 9, and this is one of those abilities that always makes me want to play a monk, you get acrobatic movement. Or wielding a shield, you gain the ability to run across vertical surfaces and across liquids on your turn without falling, as long as you're still moving. The flavor on this is so awesome. The DM would hate me because I would only wall run everywhere I went if I was playing a monk. And it would just be really interesting with how much movement speed monks get. You can get into all kinds of crazy positions, running up walls, running across ravines. It just adds a lot. It's going to be very Assassin's Creed, you flying all over the battlefield. And we're going to get self-restoration, and this used to be called Purity of Body, and it's a new name, and it's another upgrade. It used to make you immune to disease and poison for a minute. Now you can remove Charmed, Frightened, or Poisoned at the end of each turn if you want without having to do any save. And you also no longer are required to eat or drink to keep from getting levels of exhaustion. You get a subclass feature, but your martial arts die do go up to a D10 here. At level 12, you get your next feat or stat point increase, whichever you choose. And at level 13, you get Deflect Energy. You can now use the Deflect Attack feature against attacks that deal any type of damage instead of just the bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. And talk about a massive upgrade. This feature used to be you could use a key point and understand all languages. I mean, that is just huge on the viability of monks at this level. Level 14, we get Disciplined Survivor. It used to be called Diamond Soul, and it does the same thing. You're now proficient in all saving throws, and if you fail one, you can use a focus point and re-roll the die, but have to use the new roll. Also, your unarmored movement goes up to 25 feet now. At level 15, you get the feature called Perfect Focus. So when you roll initiative and you don't use your uncanny metabolism, you regain focus points until you have 4. So every fight, you're going to get to start off with at least 4 focus points at level 15. Level 16 will be your next stat point or feat. And at level 17, you get another subclass feature. And also at 17, your martial arts die goes up to D12, and that'll be your max for this. At level 18, you get the feature called Superior Defense. And at the start of your turn, you can spend 3 focus dies and have resistance to all damage except force for 1 minute. This used to be an ability called Empty Body, and it let you spend 4 key points to become invisible and have resistance to all damage but force. That ability also used to let you cast Astral Projection for 8 key points. So at level 18 is the first time you've gotten a monk ability that's been downgraded any, and it really just took away 1 spell. The rest of it is still an upgrade because it only costs you 3 die as opposed to 4. Team will be your epic boon, as it is for all classes now. And for the capstone, we're going to get a feature called Body and Mind. And it's kind of like the Barbarian. You're going to get +4 to your wisdom and your dex, and this can go up to a max of 25. I really like the way that they've factored this in because all the epic boons give you a +1. And if you're already at 20, that would put you at 21. And then when you get your capstone, you'll hit that magic number of 25, just like the ability maxes out. And then if you get more epic boons or all that, you can take it all the way up to 30 at some point, maybe. Either way, is a well thought out combination of abilities. Okay, into the monk subclasses, and we get 4 like all classes do to pick from, and we're going to get the Warrior of Mercy, the Warrior of Shadow, the Warrior of Elements, and the Warrior of the Open Hand. Slight change, they used to be called the Way Ofs. I feel like they're trying to take the Asian feel that the old monks had with Ki and Way of Open Hand, Way of Elements, and etc., and change that to make that more encompassing of all martial arts, which seems like a good thing to me. Anytime you make the game where it's more flexible, always an upgrade. Starting out, we'll go over the Warrior of Mercy. This is the monk of life and death. It says these monks like to wear masks, but I don't think that's quite the same as your surgeon would because these guys never took a Hippocratic oath. They don't promise to do no harm. And that leads us right into their first feature at level 3, Hand of Harm and Hand of Healing. The Hand of Harm will let you spend a focus point and deal extra necrotic damage equal to the roll on your martial arts die plus your wisdom mod. And the Hand of Healing, as a magic action, you can spend a focus point and touch a creature to heal it with a roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom mod. The cool thing about this subclass, and they kept it here in the new 24 handbook, is that when you use your Fury of Blows, you can replace one of the 2 attacks with this heal, and it doesn't cost an extra key point. So nice little pow pow, but instead of the second pow, it's like pow heal, which is good for the whole group. The other level 3 feature that this subclass gets is called Implements of Mercy, and this gives you proficiency in Insight and Medicine, and with the Herbalism kit, which is, always good. Monks are probably the top 3 skill monkeys in the game between them, rogues, and bards, so all those proficiencies are always handy to have. At level 6 in this subclass, you're going to get the Physician's Touch. Your Hand of Harm and Hand of Healing both improve. The Hand of Harm, you can give a creature that you hit the poison condition until the end of your next turn, which is good because it'll have disadvantage if it tries to hit you back. And then your Hand of Healing, on top of the heal, you can cure one condition: blind, deaf, paralyzed, or poisoned, or stunned. And this is the same as the ability used to be, but it's still pretty nice for a healing monk. At 11, you get the Flurry of Healing and Harm, and now you can replace both the Flurry of Blow attacks with your Hand of Healing ability if you so choose. And when you use the Flurry of Blows and deal damage, you can add one Hand of Harm strike for free to the attack. You can still just use one Hand of Harm per turn. You can do any of combo of these equal to your Wisdom mod, and you get them back at a long rest, and this ability is the same as it used to be. Level 17, you get the Hand of Ultimate Mercy. And as a magic action, you can touch a corpse or a creature that has died within the past 24 hours and spend 5 focus points to revive that creature with HP equal to 4d10 plus your Wisdom mod. It removes blind, death, paralyzed, poisoned, and stunned conditions that the creature had at death, and you can do this once per long rest. This is one of those subclasses that's almost identical to what it used to be, besides the additions of a few proficiencies in the Insight and Medicine and Herbalism kit. But still, really fun and versatile class, lets you do good damage and decent amount of support heals. Our next subclass will be the Warrior of Shadow, and these are the monks that have been touched by the Shadowfell, and as Gollum would say, they like sneaking. So, at level 3, you're going to get Shadow Arts, and this lets you cast the Darkness spell. You can do this without components, and it has to be in an area that you can see, and you can move this area of darkness at the start of each of your turns up to 60 feet. The other ability you get is Dark Vision for 60 feet, and if you already have it, it increases your Dark Vision by 60 feet. And the third feature you get at level 3 is Shadowy Figments. You know the Minor Illusion spell, and Wisdom is your casting modifier for that. At level 6, you're going to get the ability called Shadow Step. While in dim light or darkness, you can use your bonus action to teleport up to 60 feet to an open spot that's also in dim light or darkness. Then if you do this, you have advantage on your next attack before the end of the turn that you teleported on. At level 11, this will improve, and you get Improved Shadow Step. You can now focus on a point and remove the dim light or darkness requirement from your Shadow Step, and you can make an unarmed attack immediately after you teleport. This is nice because the level 6 ability being a bonus action kind of stomps all over the action economy of monks, and so them giving you the ability to make an unarmed attack after you teleport, it uses your bonus action, but you don't lose as much. So I really like this Improved Shadow Step. And at level 17, we're going to get our capstone for monks, and this one is called Cloak of Shadows. And as a magic action, while you're in dim light or darkness, you can spend 3 of your focus points and shroud yourself in shadows for 1 minute. This is going to give you 3 different perks. You're going to be invisible, which is always nice, and it just works like lesser invisibility. You're going to get the partially incorporeal ability, and now you can move through occupied spaces as if they were difficult terrain, but you can't end your turn there. And if you do, it'll pop you out at the last unoccupied spot you were. And then finally, you get Shadow Flurry, and you can use Flurry of Blows without expending any more focus points. So if you know the fight's going to take over 3 rounds, go ahead and pop this at the start. You got Flurry of Blows up for free as many times as you can do it throughout the fight. This seems like it'd be an absolute blast of a class to play. I really like the ability to hop in shadows, hide, teleport around the battlefield. This coupled with all the improvements that they gave monks in the base stat tree, I think would make a dynamite assassin, sneaky guy be the skill monkey for the party. It's a really nice subclass. Next up, we have the Warrior of the Elements, and these monks tap into the power of the elemental planes and empower themselves with it. And starting off at level 3, your first feature is going to be Elemental Attunement. At the start of your turn, you can spin a focus point and imbue yourself with elemental energy, and this lasts for 10 minutes, which is nice because it's a nice long buff, and if you get to do multiple fights with it, bully for you. But the 2 abilities you get, the first one's going to be Reach, and when you make an unarmed strike, your reach is 10 foot greater than normal as the elements extend out from your hand. So if you're want to be an airbender, this is going to be the class for you. You'll now have 15-foot reach on all of your unarmed attacks, which is just absolutely awesome. And then the other one is Elemental Strikes, and this lets you change the damage type of your unarmed strikes to deal acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. And you can force the target to make a strength save or be pushed or pulled 10 foot forward or away from you as the elemental energy swirls around them. And this is going to lead to this class being the ultimate cheese grater of the monks. And then the other ability you get at level 3 is you get Manipulate Elements. You know the Elementalism spell and can cast it using your Wisdom mod. The Elementalism spell is basically a minor illusion but based around elements. You get, it's a cantrip. You get Beckon Air, and you can create breezes, and it can blow in open doors or close them and make cloths ripple. You can become earth. You can create a thin shroud of dust of sand that covers up to a 5-foot square, and you can write a single word in it in your handwriting. Beckon Fire. You can create a thin cloud of harmless embers, and they can be colored and scented in smoke, and you get to choose the scent and the smoke, and they last for 1 minute. You can Beckon Water, and you create a spray of cool mist that dampens creatures in a 5-foot cube. Or you can create 1 cup of clean water to drink with it. It'll evaporate in a minute if you don't use it. Or you can Sculpt Element, and you can cause dirt, sand, smoke, mist, or water in a 1-foot square to assemble into a crude shape, and that lasts for 1 hour. So it's a fun little flavor spell that you can use as you're bouncing around through town, doing role play. Sounds really fun. At level 6, you get Elemental Burst, and as a magic action, you can expend 2 of your focus points to cause elemental energy to burst in a 20-foot radius, and that's on a point 120 foot from yourself. You get to pick the element, and each creature in the sphere must make a dex save or take 3 rolls of your martial arts die and damage, and half on a save. It's a nice little ranged attack, but it seems a little weak. That's going to be 3d8 at this level, and it's basically half of a fireball. So, you're still a monk. You get all the other abilities they get, so... Moving on, at level 11, you'll get Stride of the Elements, and while your Elemental Attunement is active, you gain a fly speed and a swim speed, which is always nice. That speed's equal to your normal speed. At level 7, your capstone for this subclass is the Elemental Epitome, and while your Elemental Attunement is active, you also gain these benefits. The first is damage resistance. You can resist 1 type of damage of the elements that are on your Elemental Attunement list. You can change this at the start of each of your turns. So if you thought were going to be doing fire damage and it turns out they're doing acid, you can switch it mid-fight, which is nice. The other ability you get is called Destructive Stride, and when you use your Step of the Wind, your speed goes up by 20 feet until the end of your turn, and for the duration, any creature of your choice takes damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die when you come within 5 feet of them. This damage type is of the element that you choose. The caveat is that creature can only take that damage once per turn. And the final of these is you get Empowered Strikes, and once per turn, you can deal extra damage equal to a roll on your martial arts die when you hit with an unarmed strike. So, like the last capstone, you get a bunch of nice stuff that's just always going on for you. Seems really fun. If you want to be an airbender, this will be the subclass for you. For the 4th subclass that we get, it's the Warrior of the Open Hand. And these are the most martial of the martial artists. They're the Picasso of punches, the Da Vinci of drop kicks, and the Warhols of whoop ass. And starting at level 3, you're going to get your open hand technique. And this means that when you hit with an attack granted by your flurry of blows, you can impose one of the following effects. You can addle, and that'll make the target make no opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. You can push, and the target must make a strength save or be pushed 15 feet away from you. Or you can topple, and that target must make a dex save or be knocked prone. I think it's kind of interesting that they didn't make these just like automatic, you hit and you can push this person 15 feet. You're using unarmed attacks to make these, and so you're not getting to add weapons masteries. If you were using a weapon that had to push mastery on it and you hit, the push automatically happens and you don't get the opportunity of making a save if you're the creature. So it's a little bit weaker than what a weapon mastery would actually be here. At level 6, you get the wholeness of body feature, and now you gain the ability to heal yourself as a bonus action. You can roll one of your martial arts die, and you regain HP equal to that plus your wisdom mod. And you can do this a number of times equal to what your wisdom mod is, and you get all these abilities back when you finish your long rest. At level 11, you get Fleet Step, and when you take a bonus action other than Step of the Wind, you can use Step of the Wind immediately after that bonus action. I think this ability is going to be really sweet. You're almost always going to be using a bonus action as a monk, and with Step of the Wind always popping off immediately after that, you're going to be able to bounce around the battlefield without ever taking opportunity attacks, and with the movement speed that monks have, you're going to be able to fly all over the place. It's going to be really cool. Okay, the capstone for this subclass is going to be called Quivering Palm, and you gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in someone's body. When you hit with an unarmed strike, you can expend 4 focus points to start imperceivable vibrations that last for a number of days equal to your monk level, so at least 17 right here. They are harmless unless you take an action to end them, and when you take the action, you can forego one of your attacks to end these vibrations. You must be on the same plane of existence when this happens, and the target must make a con save or take 10d12 force damage or half on a save. You can only have one creature under this effect at a time. So this is really cool. If you wanted to like low-key assassinate someone, not even be in the same area that they were in, you could hit them with this, spend 4 days traveling, and then take an action to end it, and then pow, they took 10d12 damage, which, who knows if that kills them or not. You won't be there to see it. But it's really cool. There's no way I wouldn't use this, and then every time that creature moved, I would count 5 steps, Kill Bill style, and that's when I would pop it off, just for the flavor of it. I think they've done a really nice job fixing the monk class. They've added so much into it. It's gotten upgrades up and down the base, and the subclasses all are still very solid now that the base class is solid. I think they did a great job fixing this. I would love to play one of these guys. The movement that they get and all the crazy abilities and all the skills that they have sounds like it would be super fun. Now it's time for the homebrewed item of the week. This week's homebrewed item is the Chimera Tail Whip. This is a martial weapon. It requires attunement. If you're playing with the new 24 rules, it will have the weapon mastery of slow. It is the finesse and reach properties. This weapon is made from 4 snakes of Chimera tails. It can be any rarity from just standard to +1, +2, or +3. And on a hit, each of the 4 snakes will do 1d4 damage. And on a 4, the creature must make a con save versus the attribute you attacked with, or be poisoned for 1 turn. DM note, if you're adding this into your game in the hands of a pally, he can only smite once, not 4 times, with each of the 4 heads hitting. Same thing goes for hunters using this, or rangers with Hunter's Mark, or for Hexblade Warlocks with their Hex wanting to add extra damage. It's only once per attack. The other thing that this weapon does, however, is on a crit, the snakes writhe around and they hit all other enemies that are within range of the first attack. So, really powerful weapon. If it got somebody that's a crit fisher, add one of these to the game. I think they'll love it. Okay, now it's time to go over the new 2024 Rogue. And these skill monkeys can do just about everything, and you'll never see them coming when they do. So right off the rip at level 1, you're going to get your 4 skill proficiencies and your expertise in 2 of these. You'll get your sneak attack, and that starts off at a 1d6. You'll get good old Thieves' Cant, so you can leave hidden messages to all your other sneaky sneaks that are stealing stuff. And then you'll also get 2 weapons masteries. At level 2, you get your Cunning Actions, a staple for the Rogue. Here you can use your bonus action to dash, disengage, or hide. Level 3, like all classes, you're going to get your subclass, but rogues also get the Steady Aim, and this gives you advantage on the next attack roll on this turn. This takes your bonus action, and it also reduces your speed to 0 until the end of the turn. Your sneak attack also goes up to 2d6 at this point. At level 4, you get to pick that feat or your stat point increase. At level 5, you're going to get a couple things, and this is a good level for a rogue. Your sneak attack goes up to 3d6. You get Uncanny Dodge, and when an attacker you see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to take half damage. It's just awesome. Also at level 5, we're going to get our first new feature, and it's called Cunning Strike. Now when you do your sneak attack, you can trade off one of the D6 die to cause an effect instead, and there's 3 to pick from off the start. If they have to make a spell DC, it'll be based off your dex for this ability, which is really nice, because that'll be your max stat almost always. So the 3 you get to pick with is Poison. Target can make a con save, and if they fail, they have the poison condition for 1 minute, and they get to repeat that save at the end of each of their turns. You can try to trip the target, and if it's size large or down, it has to make a dex save, or then the target is knocked prone. Or you can use the withdraw ability, and after the attack, you can move up to half your speed without taking opportunity attacks. It's really cool, because then you would still have your cunning actions, and you could dash away even farther if you needed to. At level 6, you get expertise and 2 more of your skills. At level 7, your sneak attack goes up to 4d6 at this point, and you also get the evasion feature. And this is a staple for rogues. When you make a dex save versus a spell, if you pass, you take 0 damage, and if you fail, you only take half, which is super awesome. And the other level 7 ability, and this is a big upgrade because you're getting it 4 levels earlier, this used to be in a level 11 feature, is Reliable Talent. When you make an ability check that uses one of your skills or tools that you're proficient in, you can treat any 9 or lower as a 10. So you're going to pass almost everything that you try to do if you have proficiency in it, and as a rogue, you're going to have a lot of those. Level 8 is your stat point increase or feat. At level 9, your sneak attack goes up to 5d6, and you get a subclass feature here. It's a pretty big gap for rogues. Most other classes get them around 5 or 6. This one, you go from level 3 to level 9 before you get your subclass features in rogues now. At level 10, rogues get that bonus feat or stat point increase, which is nice. And at a level 11, your sneak attack damage goes up to 6d6. And you get improved cunning strikes. So now you can do 2 of your cunning strike options from before, but you have to pay the die cost of each. At level 12, you get another stat point increase or a feat. And at level 13, your sneak attack goes up to 7d6, and you get your next subclass feature. Level 14 is Devious Strikes. This used to be Blind Sense, and that let you hear anything within 10 feet of you. This is so much juicier. You get 3 more options for your cunning strikes, each of which costs sneak attack die to perform. You get Daze, and that costs 2 of your d6 from your sneak attack. The target must make a con save, or it can only do 1 of action, bonus action, or movement on its next turn, so really limits it down. You get Knockout. This one costs 6 d6, which is almost your entire sneak attack. Target must make a con save, or it is knocked unconscious for 1 minute or until it takes damage. It does get to repeat its save at the end of each of its turn. And the last one is Obscure, and this one costs 3 of your d6 of your sneak attack. And they have to make a dex save, or the target is blinded for 1 minute. At level 15, your sneak attack goes up to 8d6. And also at level 15, you get the Slippery Mind. You gain proficiency in the Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. It's nice they added Charisma in. It used to just be Wisdom, so now you'll be proficient in 4 of your saving throws. Level 16, you get your last stat point increase or feat. At level 17, you'll get your last subclass feature, and your sneak attack die go to 9d6. At level 18, you get Elusive, and no attack rolls will have advantage on you while you're not incapacitated. Level 19, like all classes, Epic Boons. And level 20 will be Stroke of Luck. And if you fail a d20 test that's an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, you can turn the roll into a 20. Just make it a crit. You can use this feature once per short rest or long rest, so that's up to 3 times a day if your table plays 2 short rests and start off with 1 in each morning. It would be interesting from other DMs. You had a rogue with this ability, would you count them turning this roll into a 20 as an actual crit? That would be really interesting for boss fights and all that when you wanted to pop this ability. So let me know in the comments how y'all would rule that at your tables. So that's the base rogue. They've made some nice upgrades. The Cunning Strike feature, I think, will make it very fun to play rogues in combat. It gives you a little more variety on what you can do each turn. That coupled with weapon masteries, you're going to be able to move people around a lot and do a lot of cool things. I think they've done a nice job with the new martial classes and the new player's handbook. Let's hop into the subclass. Okay, the first up's a classic. We're going with the Arcane Trickster, and if picking your pocket wasn't enough, they make an illusion that your wallet's still there, and if you were to catch them, they stab you 412 times for accusing them of theft. At level 3, you're going to get Spellcasting, and you get 3 wizard cantrips, one of which has to be Mage Hand. The other 2 you can change each time you level up, but Mage Hand is always there, and it's going to be one of the features for this subclass. You'll get an extra wizard cantrip at 10, and you're going to be going the 1/3 spellcaster. So at level 3, you're going to get to prepare 3 spells, have 2 level 1 spell slots to cast those with, and it'll go by the 1/3 caster ratio the rest of the way. So you can change these out with other spells from the wizard spell list when you level up, but you have to have the required slots to cast the spells. So let's just go over where you get your spell slots at for this class, and then we'll go through each of the features as you go through. At level 7, you get your second level spell slots, and by this point you'll have 4 first level and 2 second. At 13, that's when you'll get your 2 level 3 spell slots, so you'll be 4, 3, and 2. So you're basically now a level 5 wizard, hooray. And at level 19, you'll get a level 4 spell slot. I'm sure they have reasons for it, and I haven't done a real deep dive into what would happen if you made rogues half casters. Same thing for Eldritch Knights. It would be a little more on point for the Gish feeling of, casting magic and using swords, but hey, who knows? Maybe it would break the game if you gave them a few more spell slots and a few higher spell levels for in-game stuff. The other level 3 feature you get is Mage Hand Ledgermane, and this is going to let you cast your Mage Hand as a bonus action. You can make it invisible, and you can also make sleight of hand checks using your Mage Hand. And this is one of the flavors that makes this class shine. I mean, invisible pickpocket hand. I mean, just so awesome. At level 9, you're going to get Magical Ambush. If you are invisible, when you cast a spell on a creature, it has disadvantage on even any saving throw it has to make against the spell on that turn. At level 13, you get the Versatile Trickster feature, and you can use your Mage Hand to distract targets. When you use the trip option for your Cunning Strikes, you can also use that option on a second creature within 5 feet of the Spectral Hand. The flavor on this would just be hilarious. You're over here attacking someone, you've got an invisible Mage Hand across the board, and when you trip this guy, the dude over there by your Mage Hand just magically falls over. I would just love that. And the level 17 capstone for these rogues are Spell Thief. This lets you immediately after a creature casts a spell that targets you or includes you in its area of effect, you can take your reaction, force that creature to make an intelligence saving throw versus your spell DC. On a failed save, you negate the spell, but it only negates the damage against you if it's an area effect spell. You can also steal the spell if it's at least level 1. You can't steal cantrips with this ability, although it doesn't, and it has to be a spell that you can cast, although it doesn't have to be a spell off the wizard list. Then you will have this spell prepared for the next 8 hours, and the creature that cast it against you can't use that spell until 8 hours have passed, and you can only do this once per long rest. Now it's time for the DM rant of the week. This ability sounds so freaking awesome, but it needed to be fixed and they left it the same. At level 17, you can cast 3rd level spells. So the only spells that you can use will be 3rd level and down. And if you're level 19, the stuff that's getting cast against you, yeah, some people may still be throwing out fireballs, but that's what minions are doing, not what the big baddies are. It's really low. If you started a campaign that's super high or played all the way up there, the monster you're going to be fighting this will have, there's a possibility they have level 8 and 9 spells. Here's how I would have changed this ability. I would have let you just counterspell any spell level 9 or lower once per day. Just shut one spell down. And then if you try to steal the spell, you could do it to where it was only like level 6 or 8. Double whatever your highest spell slot would be. So when you get the ability, you would have 3rd level and you would be able to steal a level 6 spell and have that for 8 hours. That would give you some utility above what you could already do. And when you got your 4th level spell at 19, you would be able to steal a level 8 spell. You would get the same thing to make saves, but let's do it off your dex instead of your intelligence, because you're going to be casting against high-level casters are going to have massive intelligence at level 19 in the game. You're going to have people that have like a +7 to intelligence, and you're going to be most likely max dex and intelligence to this point, but it still should be based off your dex. That's going to be capped by the time you hit this level. So either way, that ability at level 7 gives you an option still in a level 3 spell for 8 hours. Seems really weak. and it doesn't even remove the whole spell damage. You know, that's another thing they could add to this, is that if you steal a AoE spell, it takes out everybody from the spell, so that you get to add that utility in that, yeah, I grabbed that fireball and saved all 5 of us from getting hit. So, in DM rant. All that fussiness aside, these are one of my favorite classes of rogues. I mean, come on. Invisible Pickpocket, hard eyes. Okay, next subclass, we're going to straight awesome peeps, and these are the folks that you call if you need to murk somebody. It's the Assassin. At level 3, you get Assassinate. You get advantage on initiative rolls, and during the first round of combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against a creature that hasn't taken a turn yet, and if your sneak attack hit, it does extra damage equal to your rogue level. You also get Assassin Tools at level 3, and you get Disguise Kit and a Poisoner's Kit, and you'll be proficient with both of those now. At level 9, you get Infiltration Expertise, and that gives you Masterful Mimicry, and you can unerringly mimic another person's speech and handwriting if you spend an hour studying them. And you also get an ability, and this one seems really cool to me, called Roving Aim. Your speed isn't reduced to 0 by steady aim, so it's going to be a way for you to use steady aim and give yourself advantage without just locking yourself in place. And I think that on an Assassin Rogue is going to be a really nice little upgrade for them. At level 13, you get to envenom your weapons. And when you use the poison option of your Cunning Strike, the target takes 2d6 poison damage whenever it fails a save, and that damage ignores resistance to poison, which is really cool because now you know, there's so many creatures that have resistance to poison, but as that rogue, you just poison so much better. And at level 17, your capstone is going to be called Death Strike. And when you hit your sneak attack on the first round of combat, the target must make a Constitution save against your Dexterity spell save, or the attack does double damage. So, it's a pretty simple class. It's sneaky. It's about moving first. I mean, I would definitely, if I was going to play one of these, get the alert background feat and max out Dex. I like the idea of the poison not being resisted. It would be nice if you might got that just a little bit earlier, because level 9 and only 2d6 extra, it's not all that much. And it's also using one of your sneak attack die that's costing you 1d6 already to use that poison ability, so it's just really one extra d6 for a level 9 subclass feature. Yeah, so. These are fun little guys if you want to just get out there and hit really hard. Other than that, I would probably pick one of the other classes. I think they have a little more flavor to them. But each their own. Quick edit here. You get Envenom weapons at 13, not 9. So it's even later than I thought it was to start with. And that should have came earlier. Did that girl just stab me with her mind? I felt like a knife, but it vanished. It's time to go over the soul knife. And yes, she probably did. And there's probably a real dagger in there too. And another mind dagger to boot. Okay, the first feature for this subclass is Psionic Power. And this is going to be what runs almost everything that you do. You get Psionic Energy die that you power with your mind. And we'll break these down right off the start so that you know what you got to work with as we go forward. They're going to start off at D6, and at level 3 you're going to have 4 of those. At level 5, they'll go to D8s, and you'll get 6 of them. At level 9, you'll have 8 D8s. At level 11, your dice get the next bump, and they go to D10s, and you'll have 8 of them still. At level 13, you'll have 10 D10s, and at level 17, you'll cap out with 12 D12 psionic die. And you'll get these to use as your powers, and you get 1 back on a short rest, and you get them all back when you finish a long rest. So let's hop into the other features. Okay. At level 3, you get Side Bolstered Knack. And if you fail an ability check or a tool you're proficient in, you can roll a side die and then add that die to the roll. And here's the good thing, it's only expended if it takes it from a fail to a pass. And this is a new trend they're kind of doing in the 2024 Player's Handbook, that you don't expend things unless you get benefits from them, which I think is really nice because you have limited resources, especially as a melee character. And then using something and still failing, it really feels sad panda day, you know? So, nice job for Wizards making it to where we get to keep the things when they fail, and if we use them, and succeed, then they were worth spending. The next ability you get at level 3 is Psychic Whispers, and this is really neat. You can establish telepathic communication as a magic action. You can speak to people equal to your proficiency bonus. You roll a psi die when you do this ability, and that's how many hours that you can telepathically communicate with that number of people. So you'll have a proficiency of 2 off the start. You can roll the die, hit a 6, you get to talk to 2 people telepathically for 6 hours. It's really neat. It's like having the message spell just always going. Also at level 3, you get Psychic Blades, and thank God they finally fixed this. You can manifest Psychic Blades whenever you attack or when you make opportunity attacks. It was so annoying in the old one, and I'm sure most DMs just hand-waved that you couldn't make opportunity or reaction attacks with your psionic blades. And here's what the blades look like in 2024 now, because they've got different properties. So it's a simple melee doing 1d6 psychic plus your ability mod used to attack, so dex or strength, unless you've multi-classed and you're attacking with something else. They have the finesse and throne properties. They get the Vex weapon mastery, and this doesn't count against the number of weapon masteries that you get to know as a rogue. And after you attack with a blade on your turn, you can make a melee or ranged attack with a second blade as a bonus action on the same turn if your other hand is free to create this blade. The bonus action attack damage is a d4 instead of a d6. Alright, I do want to point something out here that I feel like may have been an oversight, but may not. They may have not intended it to work this way. These daggers don't have the light property, which seems really strange to me. You have a dagger that's made of metal, and it's light. You have a dagger made of mind energy, and it isn't. This kind of stinks if you're going to try to play rules as written, because you couldn't use a dagger for the first attack that has that good old nick property on it, and then make a summoned blade attack on that same action, which would now have been an attack with a psi blade, and then you would get to make a second psi blade as your bonus action, both having the Vex on it, so you would have bonus action for advantage, and then you would have advantage on your next dagger attack at the start. If I was DMing a table and a rogue wanted to run a soul knife, I would totally add the light property into the summon blades and let the attack go, dagger attack with Nick, letting us do the first psychic blade on that attack action, Vex it, advantage on bonus action, Vex it, advantage on next dagger attack, and just let that keep rolling, just like most 2-weapon fighters do. So, that's how I would run it when I was DMing, but maybe they didn't want that to happen. I don't know, maybe it'll be broke as all get out when we get into actually running these characters and see that, yeah, we need to not add that in. But that's one of those things we'll find out as we go. Alright, back to the features. At level 9, you get Soul Blades, and now you can use the following powers with your Psychic Blades. You can do homing strikes, and if you make an attack roll with your Psychic Blade and miss, you can roll your psionic die and then add that number to the attack roll, and just like earlier, the die is only used up if it turns that miss into a hit. And then you can also do the Psychic Teleportation, and as a bonus, you can roll a psionic die and throw a summon blade up to 10 times what you just rolled. And then you can teleport to that spot, and the blade vanishes. So you can have a really long teleport at this point. Bounce it around, throw a knife, pop over to it. Sounds really cool. At level 13, you get the Psychic Veil, and you can use a magic action to become invisible for 1 hour. This ends if you deal damage or if you force a creature to make a saving throw. You can do this once per long rest, or you can spend one of your psionic die and get the ability to do it back again. And at level 17 for the capstone, you get Rend Mind. And I love the flavor they give in the description here. When you attack with your Psychic Blades, it passes through the creature and stabs them in their mind. The way this works is that when your psionic blades deal sneak attack damage, you can force that target to make a wisdom saving throw, and the saving throw will be versus your dex plus proficiency plus 8. And if they fail, the target is stunned for 1 minute, and it gets to repeat the save at the end of each of its turns, and you can't do this again until you finish a long rest, or you can spend 3 psionic die and get this ability back again. I really like these guys. I like the idea of having an expendable resource that can help you hit when you miss, help you pass saves when you fail. Rogues are always so versatile anyway, and this would just make you even better at the things that they're already great at. The final subclass is the Thief, one of the classic rogue archetypes and always a pain in the DM's butt. These are the guys that you're walking down the street through town and they're like, I want to pick that pocket. What's he got on him? And as the DM, you're like, grr, it's a random dude walking down a street. He's obviously got 3 ancient artifacts on him. He's like, cool, I'll take both of those. What else do I see? And I'm like, well, absolutely no one now. Everyone's went inside. Awesome. The town appears dead. I'm going to climb that wall and go in on the 3rd story. What's in the bedroom? All jokes aside, these are always fun and well received and nice to have at any table. Let's take a look at what they can do. All right, at level 3, you're going to get a couple features. The first of which is called Fast Hands. And now as a bonus action, you can make a sleight of hand check to pick a lock, disarm a trap, and you have to use your thieves tools to do this, or you can try to pick a pocket. You can also use an object and take the utilize action. You can also make a magic action to use a magical item. The other level 3 ability you get is a classic. It's 2nd story work, and you get a climb speed equal to your normal speed, and you get jumper, which allows you to use your dex to determine how far you can jump instead of your strength, which is a nice little upgrade. At level 9, you get supreme sneak. You get a cunning strike ability that is called stealth attack, and it costs 1d6 of your sneak attack damages. And if you have the hide action's invisible condition, the attack doesn't end that condition on you. And if you end the turn behind 3/4 or total cover, you will get to keep your hidden invisible condition. So if you have hidden and are invisible, you can murk someone. And if you can get to 3/4 or full cover before your turn ends, they never saw you do it. It's kind of cool. At level 13, you get magic device. And you have handled enough magical gear that you gain these benefits. Attunement, you can attune to a 4th magical item. That's really nice. And you get charges. When you use an item that has charges, you can roll a d6, and on a 6, it doesn't consume a charge. And you can use scrolls. Any spell scroll you can cast using your intelligence. Womp womp, they should have made that dex. It would have been better. If it's a cantrip or level 1 spell, you can just cast it. And if it's higher, you have to make an arcana check. And that check will be DC 10 plus the spell's level. And if you pass, it casts. And if you fail, the scroll disintegrates. So it's kind of all or nothing there. And at level 17, for your capstone, you get Thieves' Reflexes. And you can take 2 turns on the first round of combat. The first one goes at your initiative roll. And the second one goes at -10 of what that roll was. Really cool if you get there at level 17. 2 turns in the first turn. That's really OP. Like I said, rogues are always a blast to have at the table. It does get a little frustrating, being that you know they're always going to find every trap and succeed on every sneak attack and stealth check that they ever make. But that's part of the game, and that's what these guys excel at. It's nice to have them as part of your team, and I always love the flavor that rogues bring to the game. Well, folks, that's it for this episode of Dragons and Dice. Thanks for listening, and if you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, or leave a review. It really helps with exposure of a new show. So until next time, may your D20s roll high, and may your DMs be kind.